touch all your seatbelt connections, touch your Hans. Just make sure you get everything like you want it. Favor, just touch all your seatbelts, touch all your connections, touch your Hans. Just make sure you get everything like you want it.
Well, good evening, race fans. We are on to our second race here tonight with the Bridge to Cup Series here at Iowa. So this is going to pretty much cap out our entire, well, yes, it'll cap out our entire stay here at Iowa with all of the series being involved with at least one race here in the past 2 weeks. Starting on the front row, none other than Atlee Weiss, who is in search of getting a win in this Bridge to Cup series so that he can become eligible for the championship bracket, him and his teammate Scott Speed alongside of him. And then you've got Rich Roy and last week's winner, Cooper Dwight. And we'll see if he can maybe get another good finish here tonight at Iowa. Behind that, you've got Kyler Sestre and Dave Steele Jr., Luis Rodriguez and Lucas Holmes, Adam Starr and Nadak Hagum, John Hagan and Ryan Little, Asiel Escobar and Spinham Walker, Andrew Moger and Gannon Bird, Alan Malcolm and Jack Davis, Kevin Xavier and Bradley Ream, Anheuser Wagner and Krista Cower, Roach and Kyle Ottawa, Cannon Gage and Jamie Horseman, Kat Durham and Paul Ladino, Braden Hunt and AJ Kosnoff, with David Bird, Noah Hobson, and Chasey Plays rounding out your whole field here tonight for 200 laps at Iowa. We've seen so many different strategies pan out at our couple races here at Iowa. The only series not running Iowa, of course, is ARCA, which ran Vegas tonight. We'll see if pit strategy plays a factor in this one like it has in both the other ones so far. Atlee off to the early lead here. Rich Roy getting by Scott Speed. Good push from his teammate Kyler Sestre behind him. Seems like Atlee Weiss and the sweet spot is racing on short tracks. We've seen him rack up quite a few short track wins this year in the Sylvania Cup Series. So expect none the difference here in Bridge to Cup. It seems like he's got pretty good handle on these short tracks wherever he goes, no matter what equipment he is in. Holding a steady lead over the 29 of Rich Roy, as now Scott Speed making a move for second. Scott Speed on the move, as well as Luis Rodriguez and Adam Starr, both of them moving towards the front. So right now, teammates running 1-2. And you've got Rich Roy, Luis Rodriguez, Adam Starr, John Hagan. Asiel Escobar has cracked his way up into the top 10. Then you've got Alan Malcolm in 8th, Dave Steele Jr. in 9th, and Cooper Dwight in just his second race of his career has fallen back to 10th in the early running here. It's actually impressive. Our 2 races so far have been won by a number 7 here at Iowa. That trend will not stay alive because there is not a number 7 in this Bridge to Cup field of drivers. So it was a neat trend while it lasted. Our Cup Series was won by the number 7 of Tyler Landa. And then the truck race was won by the number 7 of Spinham Walker, who's also in this race here tonight. See there in the 11, that is Spinham Walker. Hoping to execute from lessons learned in the truck race tonight. Currently running 28th, not ideal, but still a lot of racing to unfold here tonight. So far it's all Atlee here in the first 9 laps of competition. Cooper Dwight, with his win last week, now needs to start focusing on moving up into the top 25 in points. And with the limited amount of races left, that is a tall order for him to accomplish. Let me go ahead and put that into perspective. He started out with a win, and he currently sits 35th in the points. And he's going to have to make up 35 points just to make a spot into 34th. He's about 70 points out from 33rd place. Honestly, if he just keeps racking up wins, he could slowly reach the top 25 and be eligible for the bracket here this season. But it's a tall order. He's not going to have many mulligans coming from just starting last race, missing the first 17. So we'll see how that all pans out. Atlee, on the other hand, the way it worked out, he was able to inherit the point standing of the 84 car. But the rule, the ultimatum, was that he had to stay in the top 16 in points and get a win. So staying in the top 16 is actually not too hard, as he's put together quite a few good runs. He's had a few bad runs. But he's still missing that elusive win here in the Bridge to Cup Series. He's hoping to maybe use his skills learned from being a Cup standout the last couple years to wheel this thing to victory lane tonight. Still a lot of racing to go. It's gonna be a barn burner for sure. You're gonna see pit strategies. You're gonna see drivers come, and you're gonna see drivers go. I have a feeling that this might pan out more like our Cup race if we do happen to have green flag pit stops where the degradation factor kicks into high gear, and you've got drivers that are running 3 seconds faster than some of the other drivers out there, which makes for a very interesting back and forth, because you'll honestly not know who's on the winning strategy until that final lap dawns. Scott Speed is closing the gap here on Atlee. Could potentially be a battle for the lead brewing in a couple laps time. Of course, these two being teammates, I'm sure they'll play nice and not be too aggressive here, but you never know. Scott Speed's sitting a little bit more pretty in the point standings and doesn't necessarily need a win to qualify, but if we get so many drivers to win, that could still knock Scott Speed out of contention. As we currently have, let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different winners. So that means 6 of them could make it in on points. But if you throw in an Atlee who wins, that would make it an 11th different winner and only 5 drivers making it in on points. And therefore, Scott Speed would be battling against the likes of Cannon Gage, Rich Royce, Anheuser Wagner, to name a few, that he's going to have to stay above in point standings to qualify for the championship bracket. So honestly, just getting the win is going to be the easiest road possible for any of these drivers to make that bracket battle, the championship bracket that we end the season with. Some might be starting to wonder if Dave Steele has safetied up a little bit. With his 5 wins, he knows that he's going to be sitting pretty solid. But even here tonight, it looks like he's starting to make some moves through the field. Makes them pass there on Osiel Escobar for 9th. Don't count him out. He could still figure out a way to work the strategy to his advantage here tonight. And especially at his home track, it's going to be interesting to see what that 35 team can pull out of their hat. So far, it's been all Atlee at the front of the field here. Scott Speed holding in pretty steadily in second. Rest of the field closing up on the lead bunch here. We are officially 1/5 of the way through the race here tonight. It's been all Atlee at the point. Is anyone gonna catch him? Most of the rest of the field still running about where they've been running here. Just most of the drama going to be in your top 5, it looks like, as a few other drivers are taking the high line to try and upset the top 2 leaders. If you're just now tuning in, you have not missed a whole lot. Atlee from the pole has led every lap so far. 50 laps into it. We're a quarter of the way through tonight's event. Likely to see pit stops a little bit after lap 90, I'd imagine. So we'll see what pit strategies develop here at Iowa. We've seen a lot of craziness in the last two races we've had here past week. Looks like Dave Steele's made up another spot as he has got up to 8th here. And 41 looks to be... Did he drop back? Did he pit? No. Did he actually move up? Okay, the 41, Cooper Dwight's actually up to 6th. So impressive run in just his second start here. Actually, very notable, Cooper Dwight has the fastest lap in the race so far, which was just like last week. He started up front, led every single lap, and had fastest time. So keep your eyes peeled on that 41 of Cooper Dwight, who could potentially work his way up to the lead in just his second start of his career. He does have that Mazda power, which is currently tied up with the first two spots with Atlee and Scott Speed. Then you have an Audi, a Subaru, and a Dodge. Yeah, nice. Dave Steele makes it up to 7th here now, getting past the 65 and the 88 of John Hagen. Osceola still holding on to a solid top 10 here. Well, as we eke ever closer to green flag pit stops here tonight at Iowa, you're going to have to start paying attention to see if there's anyone deeper in the field pulling out to pit, because that could change the whole spectrum of this race on the flip of a dime. It's how Spin'em Walker got his win just the other night in the Truck Series here. He took 4 tires while everyone else only took 2. So, and may have had something to do with the race only being 125 laps, that people thought taking 2 was not going to be a death sentence. But quite contrary to that belief, it was purgatory for those that took 2. And Spin'em Walker walked out of here last night looking like a genius with the 4-tire stop that ended up winning him this race in the Truck Series. What looked like a potential win between Trevor Walker and Tim Cording, it just did not materialize for either of them when Spin'em Walker shocked the whole field with a bold move to win it all. So we could definitely see something like that pan out here in the Bridge to Cup side of things. With it being 200 laps, it's a little bit harder to predict the strategies that are going to unfold here. I mean, it was hard to predict any strategy coming about the race last night either, so at least we know for a fact that no one's going to be able to make it all the way to the finish here tonight without 1 round of pit stops. Lap traffic's going to start to become a factor here as Atlee Weiss is closing up on David Bird. Bird is definitely not the word here tonight. 26 had a camshaft failure. That's the 26 of Lucas Holmes, who I want to say has gotten a win. So he's pretty much safe as long as he can stay in the top 25 in points. Noah Hobson is outside the top 25 in points. If you look, we'll find where the 22 right there. Noah Hobson in 25th right now, so he's going to need to put together a decent campaign towards the end of the regular season here to become fully eligible for the championship bracket. And then honestly, once you're in that championship bracket, it's kind of a free-for-all. We don't know, or don't have no expectations of how this championship bracket thing's going to play out. Your top 16, or rather, not necessarily top 16, because you'll have drivers with a win in the top 25 in points, and then the highest in points for the regular season to fill out that field of 16 are going to be duking it out in a bracket like March Madness, and it's going to be head-to-head matchups. Well, we'll start to whittle them down if they get losing records during the head-to-head matchups, to the point where we might only have 8 drivers eligible for the final race of the season, and it'll be a winner-take-all, kind of like real-life NASCAR in their Cup Series Final 4. The only difference is we might have a final 8, we might have a final 10, we could even have a final 12 or a final 16 if everyone somehow manages to finish with a 500 or better record, as it'll be 4 races of head-to-head action. Maybe even going forward next year, it'd be ideal to stretch it to 5 races so that you've got odd numbers and only those with a winning record make it on. But for this season, if you have a driver that's 2-2 or 3-1 or 4-0, they are eligible for that final race to be crowned champion at the end of the season. Atlee's now got his hands full here with David Bird right there in front of him. Still running in 6th is Cooper Dwight, but you can see he's closed the window on the 48 of Luis Rodriguez here. And 27 still not too far out of reach for either of them. Dave Steele in 7th has quite the view of clean track in front of him and behind him here, which should help mitigate any trouble, any chaos for him. As long as he's got clean track, if there's a wreck, he's going to be able to miss it. Atlee got by David Bird and now has to fight for getting the 49 car lap down. We are down on lap 80 here with 120 laps to go. Still haven't seen any takers down pit road. We might see some of these drivers try to push it to halfway so they can make it on one full stop through the whole race. Okay, we are definitely approaching that window for pit stops to be happening any moment now, as we are on lap 88. 112 laps to go. Atlee still working his way through the traffic here. Wow, the 24 of Kyler Sustre way off the pace. Having a rough showing here tonight. Ooh, we've got a caution, and it's going to take out the whole front of the field. No way. Oh, boy. You hate to see it. And they're just piling in there now. Damn. You could hear the tires squealing, and unfortunately just nowhere for Atlee to go at that point. What happened? Jack Davis tried to come down to go to pits, and unfortunately the rest is history here as everyone just comes dogpiling in. Who is the first to make it out clean? Ooh, 41 clips him a little bit. Dave Steele. Oh, Dave Steele comes in hard. 65 and the 8 might be your two cleanest cars to make it through from the front of the field. We'll all be damned. Yeah, you got quite a few on pit road with extensive damage repairs going on. 22 of Noah Hobson. Man, such a bummer deal. 22 had nowhere to go. 84 had nowhere to go. Atlee takes quite the aggressive tumble there. Well, everyone's tasked with making it out of here alive every week. I mean, everyone's racing on the same racetrack, and each car has a gas and a brake pedal. And it just so happens that some people were not able to get to that brake pedal as quickly as they could have. And it turns out, it looks like Scott Speed's going to become your new leader here. At least for now. And this is going to change up the whole rigmarole tonight. So, out of the race already, due in part to that wreck, it's going to be the 49 of Chasey Plays, the 24 of Kyler Sestre, the 09 of Jack Davis, the 6, I want to say the 6 is Matthew Hubert. I could be mistaken. Nope, Cat Durham, my bad. 22 of Noah Hobson, the 66 of Roach, the 35 of Dave Steele Jr., the 84 of Atlee Weiss, as well as the 27 of Adam Starr and the 29 of Rich Roy out of the race here tonight. Still got 4 cars, one lap down, 18 cars on the lead lap. We're getting reset here with only oh no, what happened to the 95 now? The 95 is stalled on the restart here. It's a wreck waiting to happen on these guys. What the heck? Scott Speed pulls it down pit road. Seems like well, now you've got Cannon Gage and Gannon Bird running second and third. These Cadillacs keep showing up when it matters the most at the end of these races. Yet again, every race here at Iowa, it has not necessarily been the best car to win the race. It always seems to pan out this way, where we get a surprising victor out of the bunch. Seems like Cooper Dwight struggling with some mechanical damage on that car, dropping backwards here. But this really does raise a concern for the whole field. I don't think anyone's going to be able to make to the finish with at least another caution, without one more caution to help reset them. Because right now, they've got 102 laps to go on one fuel run. And it was right at about lap 98 when people started pitting. Osceola kind of got the short end of the stick when the 95 stalled right there in front of him, losing him so many track spots that now he's got to fight his way back through the field and lose traction on those tires every lap he turns. Looking like it could be a great night for him here. I'm going to let the race play out. Not going to throw any bogus debris cautions. We're going to let them race. And whatever strategies unfold will be all on them. One thing's for certain, this could get pretty hairy and pretty crazy. The fact that the 95 pitted one lap later, he might actually be good enough to stay out just another lap or two longer than everyone. Although trapped, what I do believe is a couple laps down. Yeah, 2 laps down and 22nd. Scott Speed is going to have to hope everyone makes it to pit road before the end of this race in order to make it pay off for him. Cooper Dwight, that car, after sustaining damage, has struggled to keep a decent pace going here. He's all the way back to 16th. Last car on the lead lap. We got Osceola in 9th, Nadak Hagum in 8th. Andrew Moger running 7th. Bradley Ream running 6th. Braden Hunt in 5th. Kyle Ottawa with a very solid 4th place right now. And Scott Speed, it looks like right there about to try and get one of his laps back, perhaps. Man, such a heartbreak for Atlee Weiss, man. There's been 2 times now where he's out front leading, looking like the favorite to win. And then shit hits the fan out of nowhere, taking him out of the running. Sometimes the racing gods have strange and mysterious ways of regulating who gets to go to victory lane and who doesn't. Currently, it's Anheuser-Wagner leading over Cannon Gage and Gannon Bird. 95 there. Scott Speed on an alternate strategy. Has a little bit faster running right now because he's got just about 2 or 3 laps faster, fresher tires on that 95 BMW. He's not getting by Gannon Bird quite so quickly here. He's having to take it step by step, fighting to get back one of his laps. There he goes, gets Gannon Bird, and is going to start setting sail for Cannon Gage. $85 laps remaining in the race. And as I highlighted, Scott Speed on an alternate strategy. Everyone else is going to have to pit before the finish of the race. Scott Speed, on the other hand, he waited to come down pit road on the restart and took a hit on the chin to go 2 laps down here. But you can already tell that pit stop was huge as he's on fresher tires and already working his way through the traffic to try and get one of those 2 laps back. Lap traffic helping him out a little bit here as he's going to be able to make a move on the 51 and get by the 2nd place driver. As long as they play nice and don't wreck him, all he's got to do is catch the 65 and pass Anheuser-Wagner to get a lap back here. So twice tonight we've had some very ARCA-esque wrecks happen here. We had the Vegas ARCA debacle with the ARCA series where the leader wrecked half the field out of the lead, which is impressive to do at all, period, yet alone being in the lead and doing it. So, and then we had lap traffic get tangled going to pit road and took out our leader in this one. So tonight has been a rough time for the leaders. Still in the fight here tonight, and honestly, very much any of them still alive for the win as long as strategy prevails. You've got the 65 of Anheuser-Wagner, the 51 of Cannon Gage, the 46 of Gannon Bird, 81 of Kyle Ottawa, the 4 of Braden Hunt, the 19 of Bradley Ream, the 78 of Andrew Moger, the 21 of Ryan Little, the 50 of Nadak Hagum, the 10 of Kevin Xavier, the 8 of Asiel Escobar, the 98 of Krista Cower, the 88 of John Hagen, the 1 of Kevin Xavier, the 90 of Jamie Horseman, and then honestly the 41 with the damage he's sustained. He's so far off the pace that I don't know if he's going to be a factor, but don't rule him out. If he's running under pace right now, he could be saving fuel and potentially make it all the way to the finish without a pit stop. That would be the only way that 41 car could get the win, is if everyone else is running too hard that they've got to pit for fuel. As Scott Speed gets one of those laps back, we kind of set our focus back to the lead. You got the 65 of Walkner, 51 of Cannon Gage, and the 46 of Gannon Bird. This duo here have really come alive at the latter half of the season here. It's impressive to see. Gannon Bird sits third in the points with 1 win. Cannon Gage sits fourth in the point with 0 wins, but that win definitely upon the horizon for Cannon Gage. It's a very decorated racer over on the Instagram circuit. There's a NR2003 Instagram series that I follow that I found thanks to Cannon Gage, and he's a champion and won many races in that series, yet he is winless in the Sigmaverse. So it's been eluding him for quite a while, but when you've got equipment as fast as these Cadillacs week in, week out, he'll eventually find victory lane. And that's the glory of this Bridge to Cup series. We've seen so many differing, different parts of the season, different drivers that get hot. And these Cadillacs have had a rough spell, and they've started to find their own, but they still, you still have a couple bad races here and there. Even Dave Steele Jr., who went on a tear winning 3 races in 1 month, with his 5 wins total, he's kind of starting to fade a little bit. But like I mentioned, I'm kind of almost wondering if he's safetying up, trying to save his stuff for the bracket battle for the championship. So it's just it's interesting to see this Bridge to Cup parity across the board, seeing so many different drivers come alive and fall to obscurity, all in the span of a week-to-week series here. .66 laps remaining here from Iowa. not a whole lot of drama at the front of the field. We did get a swap for position there as Gannon Bird went by Cannon Gage. Two teammates now settled in. Probably need to work together here to try and catch up to the 65 car. Kevin Xavier makes up a couple more spots here, moving from 10th up into 8th. Giving that LFG Motorsports Hyundai a good run here tonight. And perhaps maybe using up a little bit more of his stuff than necessary. Or you could say the latter, that some of the folks in front of him starting to safety up a little bit so that they can try to push to the finish without making a pit stop. And with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and enable green-white checker just in case we might end up with a green-white checker attempt here tonight, knowing that window for pit stops is going to be right at about 198, 199, almost lap 200. And once you have people trying to dip down pit road, that's where the cautions tend to happen. Bradley Ream trying to make a move on Braden Hunt to get into the top 5 here. Goes high. That's not necessarily the ideal method to make a pass, but attempted it anyways and is going to pay the price as the 50 of Hagum gets inside for the pass. And Ream is going to get hung out to dry as he's going to likely drop another spot here to Kevin Xavier even. Ryan Little, it's going to be a freight train effect. He might have an opening right there in front of his teammate, the 78 of Moger. But by then, he's going to drop all the way back to 9th. And we'll see if Moger plays nice here with his teammate. Seems like he might. He'll let him get inside here and rejoin the rat race. Well, what looked like an attempt at getting into the top 5 shuffled him all the way back to the tail end of the top 10. Braden Hunt still holding on to 5th over Nadak Hagum. Gannon Bird starting to stretch it out on his teammate Cannon Gage, as now you've got about 3 car lengths separating the lead, and then about 3 or 4 car lengths separating 2nd to 3rd. Kyle Ottawa on the attack could potentially get into the top 3 if he gets to ruffling Cannon Gage's feathers. And for those of you that might have tuned in late, thank you for tuning in. We had green flag pit stops starting to happen on lap 95, and that's when we had our first caution when drivers were trying to cut down pit road, and we had a driver cut across another, spinning both of them out, taking out a good chunk of the field. Roughly about half the field was parked on the backstretch, including our then leader, Atlee Weiss, who had led the first 90 laps with ease here tonight. Since then, it's been Anheuser-Wagner, And everyone should have to make one more pit stop here, so there's no guarantee that Walkner is out of the woods for tonight. Impressively, some notable runners here in tonight's race. Got to give a shout out to Kyle Ottawa, who has struggled in and out in this Bridge to Cup campaign. Top 5 run here tonight. Might as well feel like a win for that team. Nadak Hagum in 5th. That's an impressive one. Did not expect to see that unsponsored number 50 running so strong, but yet here it is. Krista Cower making a move here on Kevin Xavier. This is all within the top 10. And then you got Asiel Escobar, who needs a good run here in the series. He's had some ups and downs this year, mostly more on the downside. But when he has those upsides, they're really good. Just a couple of weeks ago, Gannon Bird finally broke out and got a win. Got the monkey off his shoulders to win here in the Bridge Cup Series. Been a long time coming. He got snookered at the Coke 600 this year, where a debris caution cost him the ultimate win. Or it wasn't a Coke 6, it was Coke 300. It was Bridge Cup Coke equivalent at Charlotte. And Gannon Bird was leading up until a random caution cost him the ultimate win that week. So it only took him a couple more weeks before he was able to break through into victory lane. And looking stronger and stronger every week. So just a matter of time to see what kind of a season it's going to close out for this 46 car. One thing's for certain, the success from this Cadillac camp has helped pioneer getting Cadillac up into the Sigma Cup Series. So 2025, you can see these Cadillacs making the move to the Cup side. As to what team I would put my eggs in the basket for TSI. TSI Motorsports, or Trackstar Incorporated, as they're called, is what's running this Cadillac team right now. And TSI has been relevant in the Truck Series and in ARCA, but potentially could be in the talks of working their way up to Cup for Cadillac. So we'll see as to which drivers. You might be looking at the two of them right here, Gannon Bird and Cannon Gage, which it just I purposely do that to drive the OCD crazy in some people. How can you put Cannon and Gannon on the same team? You're going to get it all mixed up, mashed up. Who's gonna? It's like, which one's gonna do better, Gannon or Cannon? Well, it's the difference of a letter for the most part. It just cracks me up. So yeah, depending on how they finish out this Bridge to Cup campaign, we could see these two up in the Cup Series in 2025. And what a better pairing. Kind of like Ricky Bobby and man, I can't remember his name, but the Shake and Bake. Maybe these two can bring some Shake and Bake to the Cup Series. We are now 4/5 of the way through the race, 40 laps remaining here at Iowa. And it's been all Anheuser-Wagner in the second half of this race. Huge moment still yet to come in this race as pit strategies are going to unfold in the closing laps as to who has got the winning strategy here tonight. Alrighty, now we've got the big moves of the race happening. It looks like the 8 of Asiel Escobar makes it down pit road. And he's making it a, let's see, was it a 4-tire stop or a 2-tire? 2 tires, that's kind of bland. Oh yeah, there we go, 4-tire stop for Asiel Escobar. This is where everything changes. Asiel making the early pit stop here. He could potentially work his way back to the front of the field in record time. As he's going to be running, yeah, there's more takers. Bradley Ream needed to make his pit stop. 10 of Xavier. It kind of pushed everyone's hand here to make all the pit stops early. 21, Gannon Bird's pitting. Anheuser-Wagner, on the other hand, stretching it out a little bit longer here. But we'll see the advantage take over. That 8 car coming in as early as he did for 4 tires is going to be huge. We'll see what our leaders make for a pit stop here, if they get 4 tires or go for the gas and 2. Definitely 2 tires for Wagner. Is it going to be 4? Yeah, 4. So it kind of makes you wonder if these guys learned from the truck race just the other night not to take those 2-tire stop. Now we're going to have to see where the 8 of Asiel Escobar is. There's Asiel. And it looks like he might be able to beat off the 65 here from pit road. The 8 with 4 fresh tires before everyone else could. It's definitely going to be a bold move. Is it going to be the winning move? Yet to see. We'll definitely... Man, the 95 having to pit, that pretty much sinks his ship. But the 8 does come out in front of your top 2 drivers. Those that are in front of him still have to pit but the 65 is 12th, about 3 seconds off of Osiel Escobar. 46. Yeah, this is looking like it could be the shot in the arm that Osiel Escobar needed. This is going to definitely, take the majority of the closing laps to see how this pans out, as you've got so many drivers thinking they can stretch it all the way to the finish without making that pit stop. That's how you've got Nadak Hagum, Kyle Ottawa, Braden Hunt. There's Braden Hunt now dropping like a rock. He's going to get swallowed up by the 8 of Osiel Escobar. Yeah, the lap times are going to be too strong out of this 8 car to simply try to run all the way to the finish without making a pit stop here. 25 laps remaining. Who's going to make this strategy pan out? Osiel now up to 5th. His competitors behind him, the 10 of Xavier, pitted about the same time that he did. The 40, man, yeah, he doesn't have much for competition behind him as he's putting down blistering laps here, catching those that are trying to stretch the strategy to the finish. This could be the most tremendous feel-good story if it pans out here tonight. Osiel needs to catch up rapidly here. The 90 of Jamie Horseman, the 98 of Krista Cower, the 81 of Kyle Ottawa, his teammate, actually, the 81 of Ottawa, and the 50 of Nadak Hagum. All of them have not pitted yet. So they're out there running. Actually, have they pitted? They're running fast laps for someone that did not pit. Nadak Hagum. Wow, did he pit super early? Wow, he pitted at lap 160. That was a huge move to make up. So, and Osiel, I think, pitted at lap 169. So he's going to have to close the gap. Braden Hunt just running out there on way too old tires. Sitting roadblock at this point. Well, that kind of changes the whole trajectory of this race. I was getting excited that everyone in front of Osiel needed to pit still. Unfortunately, not the case. The 90 of Jammy Horseman on fresher rubbers should be able to hold on to fourth here. Krista Cower as well on fresher rubbers should be safe for a top 5 finish. So the main focus kind of settles in on Kyle Ottawa and Nadak Hagum. One thing's for certain, all these lap traffic going to be sitting roadblocks, causing potential cautions for the field here if everyone's not careful. Woo! Rodriguez almost ran into John Hagan there, which if anyone gets spun out could bring a caution and reset them for a very exciting restart in the closing laps here tonight. Oh, just like that. Look at Braden Hunt holding up the 50. Ooh! That's going to allow Kyle Ottawa to close the gap. He's starting to smell blood in the water as that 81 closes up on the 50 of Nadak. Still don't rule out a potential caution in the closing laps here. That could totally change things up. More drivers now exiting pit road, adding more potential hazards in the closing laps of this one. 94 of Pauladino likely to be one of the last lap cars that our leaders need to deal with here. Down to just 9 laps to go here tonight. Kyle Ottawa has closed up on the back bumper of the 50. Nadak is going to have to hold on for dear life. Kyle Ottawa hungry to get that win. Here comes the 95 of Scott Speed with fresher tires. We've seen this pan out a couple times here tonight. He's 15th, 2 laps down. He's going to get one of those laps back, it looks like, and potentially stir the pot amongst the winners. Whoever's up front leading, he's going to take a dive on the 50 of Nadak. That's going to open the window for Krista Cower, as she's now gotten past Kyle Ottawa. Still 7 laps remaining here. Kyle Ottawa falls back to 3rd. Krista Cower up to 2nd. Nadak Hagum continues to hold that lead. You're going to have a little bit of lap traffic mixing it up still. Cooper Dwight in the 41 could potentially hold up our lead trio here. Krista Cower is riding the back bumper of that 50 car. 5 laps to go at the line. Kyle Ottawa at this point hoping for a pass attempt from the 98 so that he can potentially find an opening on the inside here. That 41 slow traffic here is going to hold up the 50. Something bad. Where does he go? Does he go low? Does he go high? Where does Krista Cower go? Yeah, it definitely threw everyone for a curveball there. 4 laps to go. Everyone gets through lap traffic there, still within striking distance of our leader. For the most part, it looks like Krista got the worst end of that, losing what little momentum she had on the 50 car. Because now Kyle Ottawa is still trying to get back past her. Lap times are very close to each other. It's going to be hard for anyone to make a pass. Green, still green. Lap 199 of 200. If they collect the white flag, this race will be official. Staying green as we go down the backstretch. Go now through turns 3, coming out of turn 4. As long as we don't see any yellow, this race is going to be official. White flag waving. Krista makes the move on the last lap here. She blows by the 50. She was just waiting to make that move. She had calculated that to a T. Krista Cower gets by Nadak Hagum, rolling around turn 3. Now coming out of turn 4, she gets her first ever Bridge to Cup win here tonight at Iowa. In a very, very tremendous show of speed at the end of the race. I think she led only 1 lap here tonight. Last lap pass for the win. She's been able to win in trucks. She has 1 win to her name in trucks, and now officially has 1 win to her name in Bridge to Cup action. And she got that one done in fashion here tonight at Iowa. So everything definitely got a little bit topsy-turvy there at the end with all the pit strategies playing out. Man, you love to see weirdness like that. I mean, it still came down to a race at the end. Krista had to prove her worth, even on the alternate strategy, that she had the better car here tonight. And she came home victorious. And only continues to add more intrigue to this Bridge to Cup championship. And that caps off a crazy night of doubleheader action with ARCA and Bridge to Cup. Krista Cower closes out the night with a very exciting last lap pass for the win. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and get points tallied up here tonight. We'll have all the point standings freshened up and ready going into the next week. We do still have 1 more stream with the Cup Series tomorrow, and it's going to be at Papyrus, which is going to be an exciting change from the normal. It's kind of like a super speedway. It's kind of like a road course. It's a very, very fast, I want to say it's like an 11 or 12 turn road course, but with long sweeping turns and fast straightaways. It's more likely like Daytona meets Monaco, I guess. And it's home to one of our closest finishes ever, so if this is any indicator, we might see another exciting finish tomorrow night with our Sylvania Cup Series. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Glad you can make the doubleheader here tonight. Stay safe out there. Have a good night. We'll get to you the points later on this evening, and we'll see you hopefully in the next stream tomorrow for the Cup Series. This is Jakester signing out. Later, everyone.